Have you ever sat for your work, opened your laptop, looked at your task, and immediately felt the urge to reorganize your desk or your closet, or drink water, or look at your phone, or rather talk to the wall than do your work? To combat this, I think we created this whole trend of locking in. By we, I mean young productivity creators on the internet. It was originally used in sports and gaming communities to refer to short bursts of intense concentration and commitment. But Gen Z, we repurposed it and expanded it into a lifestyle and productivity phenomenon. Locking in means minimizing distractions and intensely pursuing goals for sustained periods of time. This trend has been referred to as the Great Lock-in, a challenge focused on long-term self-improvement and internal growth across all life areas. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Ronal, a mental health practitioner from India, and today we are going to talk about locking in. What does it really mean to lock in? Locking in basically means entering a deliberate, distraction reduced, goal focused mode for a period of time. This concept is similar to a concept that we have called flow state or going into a flow state, which is a rare yet magical mental space to be in, where you get so absorbed in what you're doing that your surroundings, your world sort of fades away. Now, why did this trend come about? Well, because now attention is a scarce resource. We live in this notification ridden world where we have scroll loops, where we have dopamine overload and constant comparison. So now our brains are overstimulated and underfocused. So locking in basically became this cultural counter move, a way of saying that I'm taking my attention back. So then I asked this important question to myself. Is this trend of locking in really helping us? When it's done right, locking in helps us by creating focus windows, reducing distraction exposure, building consistency, and increasing task completion, restoring a sense of control, and helps us improve skill development. So it turns something vague into something structured. And if we have something structured, our anxiety naturally goes down. So then there is another important question. Is locking in the best way to achieve our goals? A simple answer to this is when we do extreme lock ins, no, they don't help us really achieving our goals. But repeated focused engagement helps us achieve our goals effectively. Nobody achieves long term goals by being in permanent grind mode. So please, let's not do that. High performers work in focus cycles. So you focus, you rest, you focus, you reset, and then repeat the entire cycle again. We don't need to be locked in forever, but we need to just lock in regularly. Now, let's explore how to actually properly lock in. Before that, I do want to discuss red flags and green flags of locking in. There are a few, and I would love to discuss them. Let's begin with the red flags. The most important one here, I would think, is I can't rest. If you feel like you cannot rest, or you feel extremely guilty while resting, then that is the biggest red flag, according to me. You have a all or nothing kind of thinking. Basically, it's a mindset where it's either good or bad. There is no middle ground, there is no gray area. Either I'm successful or I am a failure. Or you have trouble sleeping, or you're ignoring your body signals. Basically, your body is telling you to get some rest, to eat some food, to have a drink, basically drink some water or electrolytes, something like that, but you are completely ignoring it. Or your self worth is tied to your output. How much work do you produce in a day? Your self worth is attached to that. Next, I would say is social withdrawal, where you do not spend time with your loved ones, your friends, your family, your colleagues. You quote unquote don't have time to spend with them. All of this sort of feels like dysregulated coping mechanism than actual discipline. These are a few, I would say, are red flags. Now, let's discuss a few green flags. Healthy lock ins look like you have time bound focus blocks where you are able to focus in particular amount of time, let's say 30 minutes, 50 minutes, 90 minutes, and so on. You have clear goals. You know exactly what you need to achieve in that allocated time. You have planned breaks. After you have done one task or after you have completed one allocated time, you give yourself enough break in between to fully restore your attention and your ability to do another set of tasks. Then you are able to keep your phone away, where you are able to go into this state of pure dedication towards your work, pure focus towards your work, and you're not concentrated on your phone. Then you have realistic targets. You know exactly how much you need to achieve or you want to achieve in a specific period of time. And you have flexibility. Some days maybe you aren't able to do much work in that allocated amount of time because maybe you didn't anticipate how much workload you had in that particular task, if that makes sense. So you have that flexibility of like, okay, maybe I can revisit this in about 15 to 20 minutes after I'm done with my break. All of these are sort of the green flags of locking in. And we want to focus on these more as opposed to just hustle culture, if that makes sense. Now, let's finally look at how we can lock in properly. First, before you start your work, define a target, a sharp target. You know exactly what you want to achieve in the next set of minutes. For example, we always say, oh, I'm going to sit down to study now, or I'm going to sit down to work. But instead of saying that, we can say, okay, I'm going to sit down for 30 minutes to do this one chapter, one unit, and I'm going to go through it all. You can define whatever target that you want in a set allocated time, but you need to be very clear about what you want to do in that allocated time. Two, use timers. So this is something that you can do to sort of manage time, right? So you can keep timers for 30 minutes, 50 minutes, and then you can tell yourself, I'm going to work for 30 minutes, and then the timer goes off, and I'm going to stop for 5 to 10 minutes, and then go into another cycle of 30 minutes and break of 5 minutes. Personally, I like to work in big chunks. So, this is something that you will have to sort of develop on your own. You sort of will have to figure out how much time you can concentrate at length or focus on length and then take a break and get back to that cycle again. So, I generally do 2 hours of work and then take around 30 to 45 minutes gap and then again do 2 hours of work. I tried the 30-minute, 5 minute cycle, but it didn't work out for me. So I tried this one and it does work perfectly for me. So I would highly encourage you to try it out yourself as well. Three, remove dopamine competition. Remove your phone from your environment. Now, this is really difficult because a lot of times we are actually working on our phones, on our electric devices, which do have notifications, and it can become quite difficult to actually be away from it due to multitude of reasons. But then we can simply switch off the notifications or could put our phones or our devices on work mode, where it allows us to only focus on what we are doing, and then after a set period of time you can switch that mode off and then have a regular mode on. Basically all of your notifications will flood in after that work mode is over. So you can again try it out the way you would want it to. Generally for me, the work mode or the work focus mode works the best. I put all of my devices on sort of DND and then start working for the next 2 hours. Fourth, This is a very important one, and I would highly encourage you to consider this to apply it in your real life as well. Create a ritual before you start working. So basically, you can clear out your desk or get yourself a tea or a coffee or set a timer. This will basically be a trigger for you to understand that, okay, in about 2 minutes, I am going to start working. The more you do it, the more your brain forms this habit of like, okay, now this girl is going to clean out her desk. Okay, she's cleaning out her desk. So basically, it means she's going to start working or lock in about 2 minutes. It really helps your brain to get into this rhythm of going into that focus mode. Fifth, regulate your nervous system. The more stressed, anxious, overwhelmed you are, there is a lesser chance of you actually properly logging in. So, it is important that before you jump into your focus mode, maybe take a minute or two to during or after your ritual, or this can be a ritual maybe, where you sit down, center yourself, do a bit of deep breathing for 1 to 2 minutes, and sort of get rid of all of this overwhelming external emotions or external situations that you're going through in your life. It is difficult, but the more you try it out, the more you figure out what works best for you, it is achievable. So if this doesn't work, like where you are unable to sort of brush those thoughts off, brush those emotions off, you can actually keep a memo pad or a writing pad or something near you with a pen, and you can just write those thoughts out and then forget about them. Like they're out of your mind now. You can actually also use this memo pad to write all of your distracting thoughts that you might experience during your lock in period. So these might not be in relation to like heavy emotions or distractions in the sense of like I'm feeling anxious or overwhelmed, but these could also be in relation to your work, right? I need to send out this email, I need to read this article. So you can just pour it out on that paper and then revisit that in your next cycle. Next, start small. Start the smallest activity that you can, as small as you can go. Literally be like, okay, I'm going to read 2 lines of this article. That is my goal at first. This again prepares your mind to get into that flow of, okay, I'm going to start working. It is an achievable task, it is a small minimal task, so I can do it in probably 1 or 2 minutes. It gives your brain a sense of achievement when you are able to just go through that one paragraph, or you're able to go through that one question, or you're able to read that tiny abstract of the article. This gives you a sense of achievement, and then it motivates you to keep on going. Another important one is track your output, not the amount of hours you spend working. So, this is our default. We usually directly consider whether or not we worked for 8 hours, 10 hours, or studied for 8 hours, 10 hours. Instead of that, we can focus on how much did I study? How much did I work? This was the task for today. Did I complete that task despite how many hours you worked? This happened to me quite a lot when I was in school. I am a very fast worker. I That's why I do majorly just 2 to 3 chunks of 2 hours of work. During that time, I'm able to achieve a lot of things, a lot of activities on my to-do list. So then I used to feel like I'm not doing anything because my peers used to study for 8 to 10 hours a day. But then when I re-evaluated of how much information that I actually know from my maybe 4 hour study is probably equivalent to their 8 or 9 hours of study. So always remember to track how much work you have done instead of how long you did it for. Next is use a return rule. It is going to be obvious that at some point we are going to get distracted. So it is important that we know how to come back to our focus. So you might have a small ritual again where you are like, okay, I'm distracted, I need to come back to my work. So you maybe drink a bit of tea, or you go to the washroom, you give yourself a little bit of a refresher, and then return back to your activity. And then last, protect all of your basics. Make sure that you have slept well, you have eaten well, you have enough water or drinks around you, you're not dehydrated, and you don't have a cognitive overload. I understand that these are all very ideal sort of scenarios, but the more you make sure or try to make sure that with this is all checked out, like you have eaten well, you have your water around you, you don't feel overwhelmed, you have slept enough, there is a higher chance of you completing your work way quickly than doing it for hours and hours and hours. The more you practice, the easier it is to form a habit and then easier to execute all of these. I know it's a lot of information, maybe it's a little bit difficult to track it all, but once you're able to get yourself into a sweet routine, you will be able to have sort of efficient lock in sessions, and then you're able to achieve all of your goals for the day, for the week, for the month, and so on. That's it for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know down in the comments what you thought about the video, and if you have any other inputs that maybe I didn't know, I would love to know your thoughts. And I'll see you the next time I put out a video. Bye bye. And please do like, comment, share, and subscribe.